Welcome to the Tilted Halo, the place for women of faith and leadership who know that we're not perfect, yet boldly lead anyway. Whether you serve in ministry, business, or life, this show is here to encourage you, remind you that you're not alone, and help you lead with confidence, gratitude, and God's grace. Now, let's get started. It is my privilege and honor today to have with me Rosemary Baum. Is that correct? This is the Tilted Halo, a show for women of faith and leadership who know perfectly well that we are not quite perfect. So please give us some of your story.
My story started in a very strong Christian home. However, for some reason, when I grew up, I just didn't have my bearings. I couldn't find myself. I felt like I never fit in. And I just couldn't find my way, Kathleen. And sometimes that happens to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept going down these roads that were not the right road for me. And I am a server, I'm a caregiver, I'm a nurturer, and I ended up pouring myself into others and kind of forgetting who I was, and what God's purpose and plan for my life was. And I just buried it. And I wasn't even aware that I was doing that. And then when I was helping someone in my field at work, which was completely different than trying to help someone, I was in architectural design and I was helping them. And yes, I used to help design Marriott. So I went from that, which was very corporate and high level management. And I found out that my heart is in seeing people grow and becoming a better person than they thought that they could be, and letting God just really bring out the fullness and their authenticity. So that's the path I'm on, and it's been exploding. I have just co-authored a book with Jack Canfield who is the author of The Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Right.
And this book is coming out in November, and it's called You're Living an Authentic Life. It's called Living Truth, living your purpose and your passion in life. That's pretty exciting. And I'm in another Impact for Leadership. That's another book coming out. And so I've been busy. That's coming out 3 weeks after that. And then I am writing mine, which is called Is Your GPS Turned On? And that God gave me as an acronym for that, Kathleen. God is your God's probing sensor. Because, a lot of us don't know that we have over 500 million neurons that live in our gut. We are born with them. And how do we not know how to tap in? It's very difficult for some of us because we think, that's nothing. I'll just follow my brain. And then our brain gets us in trouble. So balancing the neural pathways, the neuroplasticity, the brain that God's given us, and our intuition so that we can live our true authentic life. And that's what I do. And that's my passion and purpose.
That's amazing. I was just at an exhibition of the King Tut things that they found in King Tut's tomb. And one of the things that they talked about was the embalming process. They removed the brain and threw it away because they thought that was nothing, but they saved the internal organs. So they had a realization of the importance of the gut and, as well as the heart and lungs and, a few other things like that. But it was interesting that they just threw away the brain, type of idea. But what's one thing that you find that a lot of women, other than not really knowing how to tap into their gut, women, especially in any kind of leadership, that they really need these days, that they're missing and really hunger for, but maybe don't even know that.
Balance, and really tapping into what am I on the path that leads to a purposeful life that I should be living. I was making money. I was doing well in my corporate life, but that wasn't what I was passionate about. And really stepping into that passion and stepping out of fear. That's very, very challenging. And
Mm-hmm.
we have all these responsibilities. We have, for me, I've been a single parent of a special needs child. I also take care of 3 disabled people. So I
Wow.
have to find that balance in
Mm-hmm.
life and to still think, what is it that gives me the ability to have something to offer others that they don't have? And so many people in leadership can tap into what sets them apart, and really taking the time to
Mm-hmm.
reflect on that, because
Mm-hmm.
we all have something, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We all do. And whether we have taken the time and the be able to go to God and say, all right, show me. I'm not really clear, but let me
Mm-hmm.
know. And listening to their gut. If, okay, this is just not resonating with me. And
Mm-hmm.
why is that? And so that's what I would suggest. And joining in with like minded people that are on the same is very, very important. I just came back from a like-minded group of 7,000 people.
Wow.
Yes, it was quite just 3 days ago. And I actually received my master's in mental health coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So not to feel that, well, maybe it's too late for me and maybe I
Mm-hmm.
can't. That's my 4th degree and I'm going for more. I have a brain health coaching certification that I learned. That's how I know so much about neuroplasticity and
Mm-hmm.
how to incorporate that. So science and religion can have a good marriage if it's done properly.
So, what's one thing you would say is needed to do it properly?
Take the time to, before you move on something, say, there are several questions you can ask. Number one is this in line with my values and my principles? And if I could do this, make this decision, how will it affect my leadership, my career, and
Mm-hmm.
how could it detour from that? That's very important because we have to look at both sides, don't we? And then we can look at how does it reflect onto others? And am I leading an example of the purposeful life? In my book, I am writing 7 principles based on this in my Is Your GPS Turned On? That's
Mm-hmm.
hopefully going to come out in January.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So, this journey of learning to listen to our gut, like you said, there's people who don't see that as really important. How do you help women learn to listen to that? I mean, it's hard to listen to much of anything these days, to really listen. So, how do people learn to listen to their gut?
Well, first of all, we're all so busy. We don't have time to listen, right? We're just
Yeah.
moving, 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 moving,
Mm-hmm.
and juggling, juggling, juggling. So we we if you take just a few moments, sometimes it's just, let's say you're in the middle of a decision at work and it's just very, very stressful, challenging. People are coming at you. What should I do with this? What should I do with that?
Mm-hmm.
Just remove yourself for a few minutes and just meditate on, which sounds funny, but just take a few minutes to just breathe, say, okay, this is in line with what I am doing, but my gut is telling me that I need to listen more to this. I just interviewed that takes me to something I just did. I just interviewed Chris Voss, who was the #1 chief negotiator, FBI hostage release in the
Wow.
world.
Wow.
And I'm going to be on his podcast and so forth on social media everywhere. But I asked him this question. I said, when you're negotiating with terrorists, and how does your gut instinct play into those decision-making processes and not just theory and practice and everything else that we, all the techniques that we learn in business school, smart, if it's smart, and logistics. And he said that's like #1 paramount, because if we say to someone, I really appreciate you coming to me with this. However, let's step back and take another look at this, because my objective is to have us work as together as a team and be cohesive. And I want to be the best that I can be. So let's, for you and for our team. So let's put our heads together and see what we can come up with. Because, a true leader is a servant, aren't they? As a servant leadership is the best.
Right. Yeah. That's really interesting that's a #1 thing. And some people call that reading the energy of another person, how that can work to understand and kind of get a hint of, well, is this person going to follow through? Is this person scamming me, giving me a story type of thing? And yes, there are other techniques that go into that, I'm sure, body language and
yes,
all of that
tons.
kind of thing.
It takes, and it's not going to happen overnight.
No.
I have been working on this. I realized that I had this gift of listening way back when I was I was like 16, and I realized a lot of things happened. Like one time, when I was in my 20s, I was between an appointment and I had a headache, and I said, "All right, I'll go get an aspirin somewhere." And this is before cell phones. I go way back.
Yes.
And
so do I.
And my inner voice, my second brain, which is our gut, said, "You need to go home." And I thought, that's a long way. Why would I do that? The 7-Eleven is around the corner. Go home. And it was like pulling me. I said, okay, I'll go home. And I listened, and I turned my car and I went home. And as I was walking in the door, I heard this banging, banging, banging in the back of the house. And there was someone in my house robbing me. And I had walked in, and then and the front door was locked and everything. And I had the wherewithal to be able to walk backwards and then wait. And they said, had you not gone home, everything would have been gone. So, it's just little, sometimes it can be like nothing. It could be like, okay, don't put your phone there because you might forget it, or your glasses. I'm always losing my glasses. Sometimes you might want to turn around and listen to that person, because there's something that's going on with them, and they're not going to be as productive for our team if something is really holding them back.
Yeah. Well, this is so interesting, Rose. I'd love to continue the conversation at another time when we have a little more time to talk.
That'd be great.
And things like that. So thank you so much for being my guest today. And I look forward to what's next.
I do too. Thank you.
You've been listening to The Tilted Halo, for women of faith who know we're not perfect, yet boldly lead anyway. If today's episode encouraged you, please like it, share it, and leave a comment. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss what's next. And for more tools, resources, and encouragement, visit me at KathleenAPanning.com. Until next time, keep leading boldly with faith, gratitude, and God's grace.